Hey guys, it's Lisa, back with another video for Lisa Wise Designs, and today we're going to make another really cool card. This is called the Magic Color Slide card. This is the first one I made a couple of years ago. It starts out with a black and white, usually image, maybe a sentiment on the front and a little pull tab, and when you pull it, it almost magically changes color. This one says, "All I want for Christmas is you," and then when you open it up, it says, "and a unicorn." Isn't that cute? I don't think there is a kid on this earth that would not love one of these cards, or adult alike, that you get in the mail and you're like, what? How did they do it? I taught this class at Made It Con a year and a half or so ago in Tennessee, and I can't believe I never brought it to you here. This might be my favorite one. Look at that sausage dog. It says, "I rough you." When you open it up, you see another sausage dog appear. Well, let me try again. Here we go. Another sausage dog appear with the cool hearts. It's got some sparkles. I don't know if you can see that part, but isn't that adorable? So let's break this down. It's not difficult like most of my projects. It just has a few steps involved to it. Put those to the side. Since I've made a lot of these projects that you color the background, where you start with white paper behind it and you color it, I thought I might try to paper piece the one I'm going to do today. I've never tried that before. But first of all, let's kind of break down the mechanism. You have a card base and then you put this mechanism on the front of it. So here's the little mechanism piece. So all that you do is we're going to make this flap and we're going to glue it together on top of rails that are inside of there that we're going to make. So this is a rudimentary looking one. When you open it up, you gotta have acetate, you gotta have a stamp set, and a way to cut a hole. Whether that be a big punch, or your Cricut, or the way I do it, I have die cuts that will cut this through. You just gotta have a window, and you gotta stamp on the acetate, and you have to stamp in the exact same place on the paper behind it, and you gotta have something, a barrier between it, right? So we're going to build rails around here, and then we'll glue it down, and that makes this slider piece go up and down. It gives it something to ride on smoothly to make this. So now that you know the secret to how it works, let's put one together. So I tried to not waste your time and go ahead and cut a lot of my pieces out for you. This is 3 3/4 by 9. I scored on the 9-inch side in half at 4.5. So let's go ahead and get this piece ready. This is going to be this piece that's on the front. This is going to be the mechanism or the slider piece here. So what we need to do is we need to cut a slit. Now you'll see my paper is 2 different colors. I'm using a 6x6 pad. So what I did is I just put 2 pieces of paper together, right, to make it work. I really wanted to use up some of this paper. It's really beautiful summer paper. It's a really older set from Echo Park called Summer Bliss, but it has really small patterns in it, which is really what I needed for this type of project. Okay, so again, this is 3 3/4 by 9. I scored it 4.5, just to score that in half. What I need to do now is to create that slit for that slider piece to come out. So I'm going to take a ruler, and I'm going to mark it about 3/8 of an inch in, like right on where that where the score mark is, because that's where I want to stop. And then more than likely I will have to make it a little larger, just depending on how big and how accurate I get my pull piece. All right, so I'm going to put this, sorry, let me move this here. I'm going to put this right on the score line, and where I've marked this at 3/8 here and 3/8 up here, I'm going to cut from one line to the other. Okay, I'm trying to see if I got that. Okay. Now there we go. Now I've got a slit right where that score line is at the very top here. Okay. Now let's make the inside piece, the actual pull piece. So here are my pieces here. This is going to be my slider base. It's 3 by 4. And don't worry, I will have all these measurements down below in the description. This is going to be my stopper piece, the piece that's at the bottom. this right here. See, it's going to be a little bit longer on the bottom because I don't want to pull it out the top of the card, right, when people are pulling on it. And then a pull tab. So I cut them twice because I'm going to layer one on top of the other to make them a little bit thicker. So let's glue those together. My tab is 3/4 of an inch by 1.5. And then I went ahead on that top piece and I've corner rounded them. And I'm going to glue one on top of the other. So I went ahead and did my stamping. This one's a little off, so I'm going to put it on the bottom. That says pull, and that comes from May Made It stamp set Action. I use the stamp set a lot. You can see I've used pull a lot. This place photo here, it's not even on here because I keep it on a block. I use it all the time. This is a really good stamp set to have. So let me get a scrap piece of paper. Okay, and then I'm going to glue this one on the bottom, this one on top. And if you're using some really thick cardstock, you wouldn't have to do this step. This one's not very thick, so I'm going to give it a little bit of stability. And you'll see that there are some options on some different steps that we'll do here. Here's the stopper piece. This is the 1/4 by 3 1/4. So again, I'm just going to glue one on top of the other to give it just a little bit of dimension. And what I'll do is I'll make the rails even more dimensional. I'm going to add more pieces to it to give it a place to ride the rails. So on these, if you had some really thin chipboard, some really lightweight chipboard, like maybe what crackers come in a box or a cereal box, you might could do it with this. I've never tried it, but it would save you a step if you did it that way. Then this 3x4 piece, that's the base. What we're going to do is we're going to glue the stopper on the back, and also on the back we're going to glue the stopper on the back, and we're going to glue the tab on the back. And so at the top, I've already rounded the corners of this piece. So that's where I'm going to put my pull tab. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I guess you can decide which side is your front and your back, right? Usually my front piece is the piece that you cut the top on, right? Because it's smoother, but you cut down. Because a lot of times when you're cutting, the back side, you can tell is a little bit jagged. Not sure why that is. Okay, so mine is not particularly straight, but it's not going to matter. So this is the two pieces we put together for the stopper. Also on the back, I'm going to glue it in the center, and it is going to hang off the sides because we want it to ride the rails, so to speak. So I'm going to make sure I don't have glue coming off the side because there's nothing for it to glue to. Just going to try and put this flush to the bottom and get it as centered as I can. That's going to be kind of important because that slit that we made, this is what's going to go through there. Okay, get this to dry. Okay, now this is on the bottom, the rail piece. And so let's go back to this piece. Okay, this is where we cut the slit. I'm going to now put this inside and see if it pulls okay, if I made my slit big enough. So it does, it pulls fine. Might actually be a little big, but that's okay too. So I think I'm okay there. If you were going not to paper piece, if you were going to color like I've done the rest of these, you would go ahead and cut another piece of white and lay that on your background, and you're gonna color before you add the rails, because we're gonna add the rails right now. So for the rail sides, I cut these just a hair smaller than 1/4 by 4 1/4. So they're a little bit smaller than 1/4 of an inch wide. So what I'm going to do now is I built these up already before I was on camera, 4 thicknesses of cardstock. Like I said, if you have some really lightweight chipboard or cracker box you want to try and use, be my guest. And that would probably save you a little bit of time. So I'm going to glue my rail sides flush to the sides, flush to the side, and flush to the bottom. That means I'm going to leave a tiny bit of space at the top. No space at the bottom. I'm going to do my other side. And then we're also going to put a rail on the bottom so that it doesn't fall out the bottom. And if we cut our slit correctly, and that stopper that we put on the side, it shouldn't pull out the top either, so that it should stay contained. Okay, using my art glitter glue. That should glue it really quickly. And then my rail bottom, I cut at, see it's a little bit thicker, 1/4 inch by 2 1/4. So all you want to do is make a stopper here. You could go all the way to the edge. You don't have to. It's not a shaker. We're not trying to keep anything small in there. We're just trying to keep this from pulling out or going down through the bottom. So, again, this is at 2 1/4 by 1/4 inch, just to make a stopper here. Just want to keep that from going out the bottom, because you know whoever gets this card is going to do this over and over and over. They're going to be like, whoa, that's cool. Alrighty, so now we need to get the actual mechanism going, right? What I did is, when I was designing this one, I decided where I wanted my image. So if you were going to color it, this is what you would do. You would stamp it inside on some white and color it, but I decided to stamp it. I'm going to paper piece it. We're going to put colored paper over this, but you're going to take a piece of acetate and you're going to stamp whatever image you want to show, and stamp the exact same image on the inside, and they have to line up. That's what makes it work. That's what makes it look like magic. Let me turn it the correct way. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to make sure we get this lined up and glued correctly. So what I like to do is get it lined up as best I can. I'm going to go ahead and put some art glitter glue on the top of that acetate piece all the way around, because it's not going to show. Okay. And then let me make sure I get it, excuse my head, but this is the really important part. Make sure I get it lined up exactly so. I'm going to hold it down. Now I'm going to close this down on it to pick that up. Okay, and give that time to dry. So it is just going to pick up that piece of acetate, and when we fold it again, it'll be exactly one on top of each other. So if you see I've got that big black line, when I went ahead and did my paper piecing and cut my pattern paper out, and I made a little goof and I cut a little bit too short. So instead of cutting another one, I just marked up my paper black where you won't be able to tell. That's another shortcut if you're not going to be a perfectionist about it. So now you've got your acetate on the top. Pattern paper's on the bottom. It exactly lines up. All right, let me put my pen in my glue. All right, and then now we need to put this piece back in here. Okay. Get my little shoulders through here. It's like putting a onesie on a baby. So now you want to make sure you have this lined up where the, let's see if this, you can see it better, where the little pieces, the stopper pieces, where it comes here, see it won't fall out here. When you pull it up here, it won't come out the top. So that once we get that pattern piece done, this is what it will look like. Cool, cool, cool. So once we glue it into place, this is going to ride the rail. And I think I need to cut my slit slightly bigger on the left side. It's not liking that. So what I would do in that case is I'm going to take, this is my little box cutter, and I'm just going to make the slit a little bit bigger. Just going to cut into it a little bit longer. Except I need to do it on the side I needed it. Okay. I think that's going to make mine a little bit better. Yeah, that's much better. Just made that slit a little longer on that side. Okay, to finish this off, like I said, if you're going to color it, this will be the time to do that. And what I'm going to do is paper piece mine. So I took that pattern paper and I stamped out these same images and then I cut them out. So this is what mine is going to look like here. Isn't that cute? So I'm going to, since this needs to slide on this smoothly, I'm going to make sure I put glue really well on those edges so that there's not anything for it to catch on. Okay, glue this down. Paper piecing is fun every once in a while. It's not my forte for everything, but especially with these bigger images that I had and there was not a lot of intricate cuts, then I thought, you know, I could actually do that. I could make it and it would be really cute with the pattern paper. If it was really intricate like the sausage dog one here, having to cut down in there around his feet and toes, I probably would not have done that. Okay, and then I think here's my other pieces here that I have cut for the front. Let's see, I do think I want to put a little heart on this little cactus stand. And by the way, this is also a May May Made It stamp set with these cactuses. This is called Stuck on You? Yes, Stuck on You. Isn't that cute? It says, "You have me at aloe and aloe you very much," which I think, aloe you very, aloe vera, aloe you very much. It's so cute. So now's the time to decorate this inside because once you glue it down, that's your only opportunity. I think we're going to be good. I like it so far. I think that's, I was going to put a few hearts around. Let's see how I like that. Maybe on the inside or just keep it plain. Yeah, I think I might just keep it plain on the inside. So the last step here with this in the center, I'm just going to put glue right along the rails, just around the outside, just these pieces that are sticking up. That's the only place you're going to glue because you're just going to sandwich that top piece on this piece. Okay, then I'm going to bring this piece down that has the acetate on it. Put this down. Make sure it sticks pretty good and give that a few seconds to dry. Latte loves the summertime, can't you tell? People are outside cutting grass behind us. She thinks she's being such a good guard dog. Isn't this cute? So cute. I love how colorful this one is too. So to finish this off, I used some of my other die cuts, and I'll show you what I used to cut. This was just a no-name brand one that I found at Tuesday Morning one time that was stitched borders. It's just these really odd shape. Instead of using an oval or a square, I decided to use that since I had it in my arsenal. So I cut that out of the top, and we put the acetate on the bottom, and now we're just going to gussy it up here. This is really cute. Now, like I said, this is not, it wasn't difficult, right? It's just a little time consuming because there's lots of pieces to it. So just look down below at the detail section and you will see all the pieces and how to cut them in the dimensions. This is definitely a make a fuss card. I don't think you would want to make a ton of these to send them out to people. But if you decide to make one of these, please go over to our Facebook group, Lisa Wise Designs, and put a picture of yours there. Thank you guys for watching, and if you like this video, please give it a like and hit that subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks guys, see you next Friday.